I'm tired of going to ChatGPT and having my YouTube scripts sound like everybody else's. I know that people love using ChatGPT because it's a sustainable way of producing mass amounts of content that you don't have to personally write. The problem is you're just going to sound like everybody else's because you're depending on a computer to predict what your voice should sound like. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 4-phased approach to script writing that I've refined over 20 years of working in production so that you can create a solid script in 20 minutes or less that is purely your voice. Be sure to stay all the way to the very end because you're going to be surprised at what part of the editing process of your script I kind of just skip, and there's good reason for it. Taking a look at the first thing that you should even consider before you write your first draft of your script are balancing it between these 3 specific things: production, audience, problem. Who are you talking to? If you're telling me, well, my demographic is between the ages of 25 to 60, you don't have an audience. Or a demographic, because someone who is 25 has very different needs than someone who is 60. You have to consider how that audience member is receptive to what you're saying. As an example here on TribeStack, I keep my editing very simple, straightforward, clean cut to jump cuts. You're an audience member who needs straightforward information, a clean breakdown, and executables that they can follow so that they can get the result they're looking for. Think about what your production availability is. Do you have access to a DSLR? Do you film on your phone? What's your schedule like? Plan for those things in your script. Let's break down the 4 phases as quickly as possible for you. Who are you talking to? What's your title and thumbnail? The script outline. How do you make this sustainable for you? When I look at my camera, when I look at you, I imagine you sitting there, that you are someone in your 40s, that you are multitasking. You're either at your desk trying to figure out your next steps of how you create a strategy for marketing for your business, or you're doing dishes, or you're on transit commute to your desk job because you're trying to figure out a way to leave your desk job. That is who I see when I look at my lens. And especially when I begin to ideate and reach for understanding of who my target audience is, I can then speak to your needs a lot closer. These are the 4 questions that I would pose to you. You're welcome to write down these questions on a pen and paper if you've got that nearby, or you save this video into a playlist and come back to it later when you can. What was my audience member doing before they clicked my video? What is the problem my audience member needs to solve? Identify each step they need in order to get the solution they want. What should your audience feel by the end of your video? I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel focused, clarity of this is what I need to do. That is what I want you to feel anytime you watch a TribeStack video. Talking about title and thumbnail. Why is this the very next thing that we do before you create any script? Every big successful YouTuber gives this exact piece of advice. Not only is it important, but why does it feel so backwards? Back in my day, in the 90s, we were in a classroom. And in this classroom, my teacher taught me to write my essays this exact way. They said, you need an idea? You create an outline, you flesh out that outline into a written draft, you edit it, you create new versions, then you pick the final title to match what's inside of it, and then you create the aesthetics before you present it to the class or hand in your tidy essay to your teacher. That's the traditional way that we've been taught, which means the final look and the title is the very last thing that we would do before we show it to anybody. So why is it important on YouTube to mix it up so that you have an idea, you create a title, then you create the final look in colors, i.e. your thumbnail, your title and your thumbnail paired together. They need to be a 1-2 punch. It is the very first sentence out the gate the second they click into your video. The very first few seconds of this very video, I addressed the title, your pain point, how to solve it, and why you should listen to me. I'm tired of going to ChatGPT and having my YouTube scripts sound like everybody else's. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 4-phased approach to script writing that I've refined over 20 years of working in production so that you can create a solid script in 20 minutes or less that is purely your voice. You have to keep that as short as possible, and you cannot craft that hook if you don't know your title. Your title and your thumbnail are your invitation to your audience. Now we're going to put out the active outline. What is your beginning, middle, and end to your entire video? The beginning has a hook. Your authority as the reason anyone should listen to you about this subject. Tell them the game plan. In this video, I told you there are 4 phases we're going to touch so that you know where we are in the process. And 3, a reward if they stay. The middle, you're going to address the game plan segment points. I told you there are 4 phases. We're going to break out each phase. 1 call to action. This is, I call you to do something and take action with me. The hard part about a call to action is you want to make it seem as seamless as possible. In this particular case, when I asked you to write down those different questions, or if you can't, just save the video, that was a call to action. Therefore, I'm not going to ask you to continue to do more because you have a possibility of drowning your audience in, an overabundance of homework. A different kind of call to action I could possibly do is, since I have this entire presentation made, if you wanted to click the link below, give me your email, I will send you this PDF for free of all of these steps, so you don't have to come back to this video. You just have it as a reference on your desk. If you're interested in that, comment below so that I know to do that. Another call to action. Now the end. You're going to give them the reward that you promised them at the beginning of the video, but before you let them go, give them their next natural step, followed with a new link to a new video of yours. The next natural step and how you architect that seamlessly into a full content plan is something I talked about in the last video. So I show you how to architect an entire content stack of not just 1 video, but 5 videos for your audience members, and give them a reason to click from 1 video to the next. How does all of this information become a script? Finally, we are on to phase 4, the sustainable script drafting method. This is why people are so attracted to ChatGPT, is because they feel they can just go in, give a basic prompt, and that chat will give them everything they want. The reason why the scripts on ChatGPT sound like everybody else is because ChatGPT is an amalgamation of all information that exists and spitting it back out in the most average-based sense. However, you can use it to clarify, focus, enhance your original ideas, but this is exactly what I do to script new videos for YouTube. I want you to be heard. I want your voice louder. That is why TribeStack Media exists, because content creates connection. So I brainstorm all of my ideas and then I rewrite them a second time into a bulleted list into the different sections I believe they belong in. And then I put it into Canva. Anybody else out there like, yeah, PowerPoint. Aim for under 30 minutes of content to record, because as you cut it down, for every 5 minutes of recording, you're going to have about 45 seconds of usable video content. I like using the PowerPoint method because at the end of my video, I can say, hey, this whole thing that we just talked about, do you just want this so that you could have it as a reference for the future? There's your reward. Here's the antithetical thing that I was hinting toward at the beginning. Most of my script editing doesn't happen until I go to edit the video itself. And the reason why, there are specific things that I can't plan for when I write a script down. PowerPoint. I guarantee there are things that I would say out loud as I am recording that are not gold. They're just ideas that are too sideways to keep the video on track. Sometimes I wonder if my parents made like Frasier references or Wings and I would just completely miss them because a TV show that I just completely missed out on as a kid. I will decide, wow, this is really killing pacing. And most of the script editing happens during that time. Honestly, my first version and second version of bullet points is enough as a script, because then when I talk to the camera, that is my original voice coming through. If you really want to have a script that is specifically, strictly written out, then this is a free website called qprompter.com where you can put in your script and say start new prompter, and it'll pull up a legit for free teleprompter that you can use and read while the camera is recording. I find that when I do that, my voice tends to become marketing sterilized. I don't know how to explain that, but I grew up with a generation of people where we were used to hearing advertisements that often sounded like this in inflection, because that's the natural way that we converse. Converse? I was trying to be all fancy, and you know what? It did not pay off. But that's what I'm saying is, if I had that scripted, it would be very sterilized as a delivery, and it wouldn't be Goofy Tasha talking to a friend. So you can do this if you're not comfortable with talking to camera by yourself And maybe you're not even comfortable with editing yet, because what I said is most of my editing happens when I am personally editing my video and taking out additional thoughts that don't belong in there. I didn't know 20 years ago when I decided I wanted to do video editing for fun as a hobby that then became a career choice. Video editing would become a literal life communication skill expected of everybody in society. I had no idea that that was going to be a thing when I started this journey. And now that I have all of this knowledge behind me, I want to be able to hand it to you. So how do you begin to even narrow that down of what your personal video production should look like? I talk about all of those pieces and break them down over here to find the best fit for you.